Oh my gosh, my setup is perfect right now. Remember, this is a good time where, obviously, I know you all don't like to have the cameras on your face, but you can always potentially, well, I guess you're using your school device, so it's kind of hard. Have your camera on what you're working on as well. Okay. So at first glance, it's kind of like, oh, the exterior walls all look the same size in terms of the same width, but they're not. So let's start with this longer section here. I'm going to use, once again, my 1/4 measurement. Now, you all are definitely going to need your ruler for this because I am not going to make assumptions. We are going to measure this as accurately as possible. So when I first do and check my measurement on my 1/4 ruler, starting with 0, I can see that it is not all the way to the 1, so it's definitely not 1/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the section before 0 to measure exactly what the measurement is. Okay. When I do that, I am seeing that my measurement is actually about 3/4 of a foot. Obviously using that scale, it's about 3/4 of a foot. So I'm going to then go on to see, it also makes sense to do this landscape because it fits under the camera better. So I am going to measure at my 2 points at the beginning and the end of the line, 3/4 of a foot, or in other words, this first, not the first, after the half mark of half of a foot, I'm using the other dominant line, which shows us 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to line up from 3/4 at one point, and I'm going to do a little mark. And then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. So I made a mark here and a mark here. Before I draw the line, I'm going to go ahead and figure out what my exterior walls are from here. So I'm going to measure again. Whoop, that's not the right side. You spend about like 10% of the time just making sure that you're using the right side, finding the correct side of the ruler, y'all. So if I'm going to measure on this exterior wall from my 0, it's about the same. It's that 3/4 of a foot. So I am using, let me see if I can get it real clear. It's hard. When I say what line I'm using, maybe I can draw it on here. I just made a mark with my pencil. And also, it's actually a really good idea to use pencil on your rulers, even though you guys are turning this back in. You can use pencil to make marks on your ruler. So I just made a mark there. That's where I'm measuring as the width. Okay. So now it's the same width as I measured here. I already wrote that note here, 3/4 of a foot. I'm going to take my ruler. And I'm going to make markings. Make a little dot here for reference. And then I'm going to make another little dot at the end of this line here for reference. So now I am going to go ahead and connect my lines. I do realize that we may not be working at the same pace. I'm just going through it with you all to show you how I am checking. When you all are doing your draft too, I'm probably just going to leave my camera on, work in real time. You all work in real time on your own, okay? Just making sure my lines are good here. Okay, I'm not going to fill anything in yet because at least on this end we have windows and all that. All right. I'm going to do the filling in last, in other words. Okay, so now we have this section here. And I'm pretty sure that the walls are the same amount of size, unless they've, for some reason decided that the walls needs to be thinner on one side than the other, but I'll do a double check. And we have the same thing, about 3/4 of a foot. So I'm going to measure. So in other words, we are not drawing our lines right on the line for the graph paper. They should be shorter. Oh, let's turn it this way instead. Gonna make a mark at that end. Make another mark at that end. Okay. All right, now let me measure these walls. And if you look, even just comparison, you can tell that these walls here and here are smaller. Hold on, just checking to make sure. Because I feel like, am I recording? It is recording, okay. So if I'm referencing here, it is about, exactly 1/2 foot, okay? So exactly 1/2 foot. So I'm gonna go back to my draft. We're gonna measure 1/2 foot. Let me scoot this over. So I'm gonna make a mark here. And I'm gonna make a mark. Oh, sorry, I'm tilting the camera because of how I had to have it angled. Make a mark. Uh-oh, that's not the mark. Here. I'm gonna make another one. I'm running out of room. Move, computer. Here. Where else was I making one? Oh, right here. Yeah, right here. Okay. I'm going to do another. I'm just going to go ahead and finish these measurements, at least for these walls. So I'm going to measure this one again, just to double check. And like I thought, it is also 1/2 inch. I'm sorry, 1/2 foot, which is 1/8 of an inch, if you want to do it like that. So I'm going to make some more lines here. And another line here. All right. So let me go ahead and connect all these lines. Extended pass, and then we'll go back and erase. That's why we use pencil and erasers. Draw it up to this mark. Oh, why did I move the ruler? Why did I even move the ruler? Here. And then I'm going to draw this last line here. Now, if we were in class, we would not be using graph paper, but you would be using a drafting board, which will allow you to make those lines easier. just to give you that reference. Okay, so let me erase all these extra pencil marks. You gotta have a real good pencil, y'all. Okay, so let's talk about this right here. Okay. So we have windows. Where do the windows come in? Well, obviously, we got to measure it. Windows are 2.5 inches in from the exterior wall on this end. So I'm going to measure. I better measure it like this, of course. So that way I can start from my 0 and draw at the 2.5 inch mark here. Actually, what makes more sense is to measure it from here and draw my line. That's where one part of my window starts. The other one, if I'm going to use this as because it's my straight line that I can measure against. Okay, cannot keep losing. I literally keep losing my spot on the calculator. I mean, on the ruler. All right, so for this one, we have 1, 2, 1, 2. We have 3 inches. So I'm going to measure from the end up here, 3 inches. And something isn't right. So let's see what I didn't do right. What didn't I do right, y'all? It's not 3 inches. That's what I didn't do right. It's 1, 2. It's more like 2.5. I'm also going to double check this because which is about 2.5. Okay. So I'm going to draw my small line here, my other line here for that window. And then I'm going to measure on my other side. I find it easier to measure on my interior wall because we haven't done that divot yet. Oh, keep on. That's 1/8, not 1/4. So from this end going in where the window starts, it is about 3 inches. I'm going to go ahead and measure the other side so I don't have to go back and forth. And this side is 2.5. So once again, this end was about 3 inches. I'm sorry, about 3 feet. And this one was 2.5. So from here, I'm going to go make a mark here at my 3 foot mark. And then if I'm measuring from the end of this interior wall, I said it was about hold on. Now I got to remeasure. We actually should measure this as about 2 feet. I measure all the way across my wall. I'm sorry, you're losing my view. I'm sorry. And I'm not looking at the camera to see if you all are saying anything. So 2. I'm going to line up my 2 right at the end. Okay. Let me do a check here. Okay. All right, so then I'm just gonna go ahead and draw my line. Here, other one here. Okay, those are my windows. The windows don't get shaded in, so if you want to go ahead and draw what represents the windows, you can. You're just gonna draw two smaller lines close together here, which will represent the windows within each of those sections. Okay, my lines are not that straight, but it works. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and draw these lines to end the end of these walls too. Okay. All right, so now we had that divot there, and you have to, how are we gonna draw it? So let's go ahead and measure from the end of where the exterior wall ends to how far out it goes is it's about, let's see, one, I have to flip it this way because I'm just not able to read it as well. If we measure this whole length, which is probably makes the most sense to measure, it is one, a little past two. So let me use my, let's see. One and 3/4. So from here, starting from exactly, I'm going to use my line that I already made when we were doing that 3/4 before, and just continue this line up to the 1 point. And then I'm going to make another from that 3/4 line to the 1. And that does not, something's not right. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Let's try that again. Uh-oh, what happened? My camera. Oh, somebody's calling me. That's what happened. All right. So let's try this again. Measuring this. Uh-oh, somebody's coming in. Measuring this divot here. What we're going to do is we are going to, we need to know where to start from here. So let me try that again. We need to know where the line comes down from this point to this point. This is what we need to measure. So if we measure that, we end up with about just about 2. So from from the where the window from where the window ends to where we start, where that comes out is about 2 inches. So if I measure from where the window ends to where that part starts to come out, I'm going to make a line there. On both sides. which is actually not the same because we're from where the window ends here. Is a little bit smaller. So from that part, we're actually here is about 2. Okay. So I'm then going to see, now we're going to go back and measure from here, which is about 1.5. And from here to here is about 1.5, which it should be the same.
I think the camera is upside down.
Uh-oh, sorry about that. Thank you. There we go. Let me put this more in your view too. Okay, so I have my 2 lines here. We're going to connect them here. Okay. So then we are measuring what the space is between here and here, which I believe I already wrote a half. So that is a half of a foot, which is about where we should end up here anyway. So I'm actually just going to draw my line here. Oh, I didn't. Well, it's fine if I did it like that. Using these 2 lines on the graph paper as a reference. And then I'm going to connect these 2 here. So from this endpoint here to this line that I just drew. Basically, at this point, I'm just connecting the lines that I've made. Uh-oh, that is not the right connecting here. Those aren't the right lines to connect. Let's see. This isn't. Let me check a measurement because something isn't right, adding up correctly. I should be drawing these 2, and which is fine because all this is going to get shaded in anyway. These are the, this should be connected there. I had a dot here, and this should be connected here. Something is drawn a little wide, I believe. But part of it is I'm like, once we fill it in, I could always go back and check my measurement. From the visual standpoint, I'm like, okay, something's not right, right? Let me fill this in right here too. So I'm going to just double check my measurements from, actually, it may not be as off as I think it is. Because once again, the whole scaling of the graph paper based on compared to the ruler is a little bit off. So from there, I believe we drew all the lines that we needed. Go ahead and shade in the walls. I'm not going to have you sit here and watch me do all the shading. Let's go ahead and make sure we add the lettering. So in the empty space under here, go ahead and do your Ames lettering. Use your 1/4 of an inch. And then also write draft 1. Okay, I'm gonna go back and do my shading. I want to make sure you know that you need to transfer that as well. Do it a lot neater than I'm doing it. Because I just went all into my wall right there. And I did not actually finish this, so let's draw a line so it's nice and straight and neat. Okay. I was like, let me check time. Oh, I never did my. Ooh. Don't worry, my phone is in a very protective case. I have toddlers at home. All right, once you are done, you're going to take a picture of your draft 1 and add it or upload it to the assignment post and turn it in. Make sure that once you're done, you go in and you just erase any stray marks. I'm going to even erase that dot in the middle for my center reference. Etc. And sorry. But there we go. I'm going to stop recording.